A woman who claimed to be a rental scam victim was herself scamming a landlord, and now she's being charged with grand theft and lying. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. All right, so I have an interesting article for you today, and it's going over this whole, scammer thing. Now, I have talked before about how, there's people and what they do is they look for these vacant homes, right? Homes that are not occupied at the time, that are owned by landlords who maybe are, looking for a new tenant, and they just move on in. And then they, when somebody comes and they try to remove them, all of a sudden they've got this lease, right? And they're claiming, oh, well, I got scammed. I'm not doing anything wrong. I got scammed. And a bad person pretended to be the landlord and they rented me this place and I'm out thousands of dollars. That's the lie that they use to try to garner sympathy, right? But then when you ask those people, well, why don't you leave now that you know you were scammed? They refuse to leave, okay? And this is just proving the point that in most of these cases, these people themselves are the scammers. And that is exactly what happened in this story that I'm going to be covering today. So, yeah, this lady, she just basically, moved on into a property. She's a squatter, not even a tenant. And, wrote up a fake lease and claimed that, oh, she was scammed. And, it's just not the truth. It's not the truth. And now she's being charged by the police. I'm glad. Okay, I am glad that finally one of these scammers is getting, what they deserve, which is criminal charges against them, okay? So before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the like and subscribe button, maybe leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think, okay? What do you think of, have you ever experienced this? Somebody who, tried to squat in your property and, was coming up with this sort of excuse, I personally haven't. I've been very, very fortunate, okay? I had a property that was not occupied for a few months while I was doing repairs, and fortunately I didn't have to deal with anybody breaking into the place or trying to squat in the place, but I know that has happened to a lot of landlords out there. That's why, I tell everyone you have to be vigilant. You have to be out there checking on your property. You can't just leave that place sitting empty for a long period of time and nobody checking on it because, people, they take advantage of this sort of situation, okay? And we are easy targets sometimes, okay? So anyway, let's get into the article and see what it says. This article is coming from news4jax.com, and it says, woman who claimed to be rental scam victim now charged with lying and grand theft. Lori Hyman accused of faking lease paperwork, illegally accessing rental home. And it looks like there's a short video that comes with this article. I'll play that for you right now.
Now, 2 months later, Hyman has been arrested for lying to law enforcement, trespass, and for grand theft. According to the arrest report, that felony charge is related to the thousands of dollars JWB lost in rental income because Hyman continued to live in the home. As it turns out, she has a criminal history in another state.
All right, you saw the video. Now let's get into the article. 2 months after a woman who asked the News4Jax I-team for help, claiming she'd been ripped off in a rental scam, is now accused of making it all up. Lori Beth Hyman was arrested Thursday morning, charged with felony grand theft, trespass, and lying to law enforcement. We are dedicated to educating our viewers and readers about scammers, and we're committed to bringing them to justice. Even in cases like this one, where a woman told police, told her attorney, and told an innocent business that she was a scam victim. Now, new facts show police believe she was the scammer, not the victim. Yeah, and this is kind of a interesting story because the people who wrote this article, right, they actually were caught up in this scam. So she told them even that, hey, oh, I'm this poor innocent victim, and she's just a liar, okay? Now, obviously, us landlords, we hear a lot of lies, okay? We can read through a lot of the BS. We can see the holes in the story. But these journalists, these reporters, they think, oh, well, why would this person lie? They're just an innocent victim. Well, they feel like fools now, and so they're bringing this to light, and they want to call this lady out because they were made fools of, okay? Our investigation began when Hyman emailed the I-team October 3rd. She wrote to us saying that she had paid rent for a residential house and it turned out to be a scam, and now I'm forced to leave. We met with Hyman. She told us she was desperate because she had given all her money to rent the home and couldn't afford to move. She showed us her lease agreement for the rental on West 25th Street, a home she says she found in September while searching for a place for her, her husband, and her 15-year-old son to live while she received treatment for cancer in Jacksonville. We came, you know. It was open house. There was a few other people here looking at the home. We came in, the door was open at the time, and I just basically fell in love, with the space, she explained to us during the interview. Hyman said her rental application was accepted after a few weeks, and then she went to the house to sign the lease. She said she met in person with a man wearing a badge from the rental company JWB and used her debit card to pay him a total of $2,300 in deposits and rent. He gave me a receipt, which is right here. This is the receipt. Everything on the receipt looked looked legit, Showed the date that we paid. It was an electronic transfer because it was on a chip reader. Card reader showing what we paid, Hyman showed us. So it sounds like this scam was pretty intense, okay? She had receipts, she had fake lease, she had her whole story planned out. So I'm kind of curious, what was the red flag? What was the thing that set these journalists off and let them know, hey, this is all BS? And it has to be something to do with what the landlord, the actual property owner, was saying, because this is pretty intense right here. But after moving in, she said a representative with JWB showed up surprised to see the home rented, looked at the lease she had, and told her it was not valid and that she needed to leave. That's when Hyman contacted the I-team for help. I just want to find this guy. I just want everybody to be aware of scams, she told us. After our interview with Hyman, we called JWB and was told the company believed Hyman was a victim of a rental scam. However, she needed to leave the home, which is rental property. Our check of court records showed the real estate company filed for eviction with a hearing scheduled for October 28th. So yeah, she needed to leave the home. They told her that, she admitted she was scammed, but they needed her out of there because, they didn't lease the home to her and they need to get their property back. So they went ahead, through the legal process and they filed for eviction, even though, she was essentially just a squatter. Okay, they still said, we're going to go through the legal process so that we can make sure that she is removed. While we continued to investigate her case, we told Hyman her options for help, including Jack's Area Legal Aid for free attorney assistance. We also insisted she file a police report with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. She did both. Our story about Hyman's claims aired October 26th, and a day later, court documents confirm a settlement agreement was reached with Hyman to allow her to stay in the home through the month of November, as long as she paid rent and left by November 30th. We reported that update to our viewers on October 31st. Then a new filing was made with the court, dated November 14th. JWB claimed Hyman broke the settlement agreement when she failed to make the payment due on November 3rd. The I-team did a nationwide background check on Hyman and confirmed she has a criminal history of theft and identity theft from charges filed in the state of Iowa. Police also say she was sentenced to 5 years for welfare fraud in Maine. And there we go. There's the red flags right there. All of a sudden they're like, well, you know what? Let's check this lady out because something just isn't quite adding up. And guess what? She has a history of fraud in the state of Iowa and welfare fraud in Maine. So in 2 different states, she has a criminal history for scamming and frauding. And all of a sudden she just shows up here and, she's just this poor innocent victim. But then they're like, wait a second. We allowed her to stay till the end of November, on the term that she had to pay the rent. And guess what? She didn't pay the rent, okay? Because she has no intention to pay the rent. She was trying to stay there for free. So she doesn't have any money. The arrest. The I-team has confirmed Hyman told the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office a similar story to the one she told us. She claimed she found the home during an open house and that she met a man wearing a JWB badge to sign the lease and make her payment for her deposits and rent. However, detectives uncovered a different story. They revealed there was no open house, that Hyman had illegally gained access to the home, and she faked lease documents so it appeared she had a legal contract to be there. Because of that, Hyman is charged with trespass, lying to law enforcement, and grand theft. The grand theft charge is a felony offense related to the thousands of dollars JWB lost in rental income because Hyman didn't pay while continuing to live in the house. You know, that's quite interesting that they charged her with grand theft for lost rental income, okay? Now, I wish this could be applied in other eviction cases. Now, that would be pretty amazing right there. Just, you know, even if you have a lease agreement with a tenant, right? So imagine you have a tenant in your house, they decide not to pay rent for, you know, however long, right? And decide they don't want to pay you back. Well, wouldn't it be great if you could get the police to charge that tenant with grand theft as well? I mean, for the thousands of dollars in lost rent? But, you know, you won't see that happen, though. Oh, no, it's a civil issue because no. See, theft is theft, whether it's from your tenant or from a squatter like this lady right here. So, you know, it doesn't say what information the police used to figure out that she was lying. I wonder if there were cameras or what, but, you know, whatever it was, they figured it out. And now she's being charged criminally, fortunately, okay? So this is just one example of a scammer who's going to try to take advantage of a landlord who, you know, had their property empty probably while they were, you know, trying to get a new tenant in there. And, you know, this can happen to anybody. That's why I always tell everybody, you know, make sure to check on your property as often as you're possible, okay? And get a tenant in there as quickly as possible because the longer it sits empty, the more likely it's going to be a target for scammers and thieves.